Can Ben Johnson unlock Caleb Williams with the Chicago Bears? Let's talk about it. Welcome in, folks, to another edition of the Carolina Dad Show. Had to catch myself from saying two growls, one roar, primarily a Carolina Panthers podcast. Folks, this is a fun episode. One part of the reason I created this additional show is so I can talk about anything. I was going to limit it to Carolina sports. Now I'm like, you know what? Let's talk about anything that we want to talk about, and me in particular. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to discuss Caleb Williams, Ben Johnson, and the Chicago Bears. And there are multiple layers to this conversation, folks. And there's a lot of beef, rightfully so or not, between the Chicago Bears fan base and the Carolina Panthers. I'm not in that group. Like, I could care less. But there are people that feud over the trade that's now done. We don't owe Chicago anything else. It's a done deal. We paid our dues, and we're moving on. And in this case, there's a good chance that both franchises come out even in this trade. Maybe you still tilt your hand a little bit to the Chicago Bears. Yes, I think so, just a smidge. But there's a chance for both parties to come out equal, in my opinion. And with that said, the reason this is so complex is it's multiple reasons. You think about the trade, you think about Bryce Young, Caleb Williams, all that. Think about Chicago steamrolling the Carolina Panthers this past year. But with all that said, you look at the first year with Caleb Williams in the league, and it was very similar to what Bryce Young had to go through. He looked at a lot of pressure. Now, some folks will say that's hero ball, that he holds on to the ball a little too long. But in general, pretty similar. When you talk about sacks, better production. And to be honest, there's a lot of people that hate on him, that called him a bust. We're calling him this and that. I don't think so. I think this guy has potential. And I think Ben Johnson is the perfect coach to unlock it. Like, let's be honest, folks. Carolina Panthers fans 2 off seasons ago, when we were going through this coaching cycle and Frank Wright was out the door, we said, man, I would love to have Ben Johnson have the ties here to Carolina, of course, the University of North Carolina, all those things here. You're like, man, it would be fantastic to have him here. And it didn't pan out. Worked out for the better for the Carolina Panthers, I think, in the long run. But now you do have a very experienced coach who has proven himself multiple years, getting a lot out of Jared Goff. And I think what he was able to do there in Detroit, now that's a very talented team across the board, but you look at what Chicago is doing, it is the same exact model that the Carolina Panthers went through this past offseason, I guess really 2 off seasons ago with Bryce Young. Fortifying the offensive line, give this guy protection, throw in some playmakers around him now. And already know they've got decent playmakers here in Chicago, but you couple those things in. And going back for just a second, another wrinkle in all this, when you talk about Bryce Young and Caleb Williams, just think about Thomas Brown being here in Carolina as the OC, going up to Chicago as the pass game coordinator, eventually the interim coach, offensive coordinator, play caller. Like, it is wild to think about. It honestly is, to see this transition. Hopefully, for Thomas Brown's sake, he's going to land on his feet there in New England as the tight ends coach. I think. Anyways, doesn't matter. Now, talk about the positives, the strengths that Caleb Williams displayed. His arm talent, there's no doubt. His velocity, arm angles, accuracy, being able to throw in the tight windows. He does have athleticism, and he can move around. He can make plays. Now, some will say he holds the ball too long. Had a league high 68 sacks, 260 quarterback pressures, broken offensive line last year. Again, that's part of the reason that they spent so much time. Now, his time to throw, you think about the Carolina Panthers this year with Bryce Young trying to get the ball out fast at 2.7 seconds. The average time to throw for Caleb Williams this past year was 2.29 seconds. I think Ben Johnson's system is going to help provide structure for Caleb Williams. decision making. We even heard about, and how true this is or is not, I don't know, I'm not there, but not getting help watching film and understanding it. Like, those are basic things that are very similar to what Bryce Young went through in his rookie season. Not a bad stat line, like I said, for Caleb Williams, passing wise, 62.5% completion percentage, over 3,500 passing yards, 20 touchdowns to 6 interceptions, a little over 400 yards on the ground. We know about the sacks, holding on to the ball. Those things were tough. Ben Johnson is a mastermind on the offensive side of the ball, and that's part of the reason, same way that we thought Dave Canales was brought in to fix Bryce Young. You've got Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson here, and Ben Johnson trying to fix him. But you think about the offense that Johnson led there in Detroit, being one of the top offenses in the NFL, top 5 finishes in yards and points in each of his seasons as a play caller there. His efficiency, ranked third, fifth, and third in expected points added EPA per play in those seasons, highlighting efficiency and explosiveness. His commitment to the run game, I think, of course, that's always going to help. Play action pass, and the usage of some of the personnel groupings with 11 personnel was used slightly below average. They were nearly unstoppable in this formation. So they led the league in offensive grade and ranked second in yards per play in 11 personnel, according to PFF. You think about innovative play designs, some of the things that Johnson is able to do, and that's, again, one of the reasons that we in Carolina 2 years ago wanted Ben Johnson there. So for me, when I think about what Caleb Williams is walking into, I think he is prime to have a good second year with the Chicago Bears. And we do have Adam Schefter. We have all these folks talking about Caleb Williams this year, how he's going to be set up with a foundation to succeed. And I agree. It's a revamped offensive line. You have left tackle Braxton Jones, left guard Joe Thuney, if we say that right, Drew Dahlman, center, right guard Jonah Jackson, and Darnell Wright. On top of that, DJ Moore, Roma Dunze, and then Luther Burden III. So, I mean, fantastic. Not only that, Cole Kmet and Colston Loveland, one of the best tight ends in this class. So you think about what they are going to be able to do, mixing these guys in, getting playmakers. Again, it is a very similar approach to what the Carolina Panthers did. And I think that's why we are likely going to see a very successful year. When you talk about his projections for this year, probably closer to 3,700, 3,800 passing yards in that 25 to 35 touchdown range, maybe 10 to 15 interceptions, similar production on the ground. I think he's set up for success. So if you're a Chicago Bears fan, I do think you should be excited about Caleb Williams and what he's going to bring. As always, folks, this is Carolina Dad. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Y'all have a good one.